You've seen the protests. We have too. These images are powerful. People across the country, including right here in Maine, are demanding justice and action after a black man died after being pinned down on a street, a police officer kneeling on his neck for more than 8 minutes. Good evening. I'm Pat Callahan. That man's name was George Floyd. Video from Minneapolis shows him in handcuffs, gasping for breath, pleading for help while an officer kneeled on his neck. Floyd died. For days, there have been massive demonstrations across the country and here across our state. Now, there have been no major issues locally this evening or over the weekend, but it's a different story in other parts of the country. Demonstrations are heating up in Minneapolis, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and New York City. And now former police officer Derek Chauvin is in custody, facing several charges, including third-degree murder. 3 other officers were fired. They are not facing charges as of right now. And that is how we got to this point. Unrest across our nation. Here in Maine, the protests were mostly peaceful, but tonight some officers showed up in riot gear. News Center Maine's Hannah Deneen has been following the crowd all day. Joins us live from Portland's Old Port now. Hannah, what's the latest?
Well, Pat, it's more than some police officers. We're seeing dozens of police officers right now. We're at the corner of Middle and Franklin Street in Portland's downtown Old Port. And dozens of police officers have lined up in riot gear along Middle Street. Now, from what we can see, we're seeing some officers marked with sheriff, some with state police. Of course, Portland police are represented here. And earlier in the evening, we saw some police cruisers from other towns. Specifically, I saw a cruiser from Falmouth coming into the city to obviously assist Portland with what is going on here. And we're just hearing some kind of explosion. That's the first time we've seen anything like that, heard anything like that this evening. Now, what we have been seeing a lot of this evening is chanting. Essentially, we're seeing protesters come face to face with these officers in a standoff of sort. In many cases, these protesters are chanting peaceful protest, and that's what they're demonstrating. They are standing and protesting in silence. We've seen some instances of protesters throwing items at these police officers.
Anybody get
some water bottles is what I've seen. There may have been other items as well. We're just going to allow you. So again, we are at the corner of Middle and Franklin Street in Portland's downtown. This is right next to the Portland Police Department. Now, this all started earlier today peacefully at 7 o'clock just down the street here. Folks walked up this road, they chanted, "I can't breathe," and they stood in front of the Portland Police Department, and for about an hour they demonstrated, they read poetry, they shared their stories, and in some cases, they laid on the ground for 8 minutes, which is the duration of time that George Floyd was on the ground in Minneapolis. Then that crowd, it turned into a march. It went up to City Hall, down towards Congress Street, and now this is a smaller group here tonight. They've come back down to this area right near the Portland Police Department. It's unclear where this ends tonight, how this ends tonight. Protesters, we're hearing them ask for a few things. First, that the memorial that they've set up in front of the Portland Police Department remains there for a week. They say that they have created that memorial twice now, and in both cases, while they anticipated it would remain, it was taken down, and they say that they will come back every night and continue to leave that memorial there in front of the Portland Police Department. The second thing that they're asking for, we've heard them chanting, they're asking to speak with the Portland Police Chief. While that hasn't happened yet, we did have the chance to speak with the Portland Police Chief earlier in the evening, and he says that he feels it's his department's job to create a space in which his city has the opportunity to peacefully protest. And that's what he hopes will happen here tonight, is that this will remain peaceful. For the most part, it has. We've seen some instances, some glass broken in certain shops downtown, but for the majority of this protest so far, it has remained tense, emotional, but nonviolent. We've also heard these protesters ask these officers to take a knee to engage with them. Now you can see there's a more dense crowd over on that side of Franklin Street near Hugo's. It's unclear what's happening over there. Interview.
Never coming to one of these again.
We're going to continue to monitor this situation, and we will, of course, update you on air and online as we see what unfolds here tonight. I have been told by some of these protesters that one of the leading organizers of this protest was arrested. That's obviously deeply frustrated these protesters. It's unclear why she was arrested. Again, further details that we will look to get more information on. For now, we're going to keep an eye on this, but Pat, I'll send things back to you.